Hey, so thank you everyone so much for being here. We are so excited to introduce a new series called Wellness Sessions for Musicians. So these will be 15-minute check-ins every Sunday evening at 5 p.m. They are free and open to the public, but if you would like to make a donation, all donations will go to the Diaz del Moral Foundation. And I believe a link will be left in the comment section if you would like to make a donation. So my name is Francesca Leo, and I am the chair of the Puerto Rico Flute Symposium Wellness Committee. I am so excited to present these with you and present with my colleague Jessica. And I'm the founder of playingwithoutpain.com, an interactive web resource committed to connecting musicians to other resources to treat and prevent performance-related illnesses and maintain good mental health. So I'm going to turn it over to Jessica now to introduce herself and also tell you a little bit more about these sessions.
Yeah, so I'm Jessica Koebbe, and I'll get into how Francesca and I met in just a minute, but a little background for me is my degrees are all in piano performance, but when I was doing my master's at Texas Christian University, I taught in their prep program, and as I did that, I noticed a lot of my students and other students struggling with performance-related anxieties. And so it just made me dig in a little bit to see what was out there in terms of musicians or teachers research, music teachers research to help children. And as I did that, I realized there was really nothing for children. There was a lot for professional musicians. There was a lot for in the field of sports psychology. And then there was actually some in the field of education for children, but mainly it was focused on test anxiety. So when I went on to do my doctorate, I knew that was going to be the area of research that I wanted to study. And so through that, I just connected a lot of dots from sports psychology, education, child development, general childhood anxieties, music education, and I put together some resources, and I founded mindfulmusicpedagogy.com for that and wrote a workbook, and then put together some guided audio exercises to help teachers know how to navigate those discussions with their students. And so Francesca and I met this summer because she's, like she said, she's the head of the wellness committee for the Puerto Rico Flute Symposium. And so I had the pleasure of serving on a panel with her this summer for that institute. And as we were talking, we realized just how much our areas complemented each other. Because as anybody knows who's dealt with an injury or dealt with anxieties, the body and the mind are inseparable. And so usually if there's an issue with one, there's something going on that could be helpful to address in the other. So we're in different parts of the country, which is fun actually for me, because I think it's really cool that we get to interact in this format. And I don't know that we would have met had COVID not stepped in and forced us to do all of our stuff digitally this summer. So I'm very grateful for that. Yes, she mentioned that the sessions will be meeting every Sunday at 5 Eastern, 4 Central for me. And we had 3 real main reasons for doing that. The first is really we're targeting musicians, but anybody could benefit from this information. But they're meant for anybody who has dealt with an injury or anxiety or teaches students, because prevention is just as important as dealing with the problems once they surface. So we want to keep these short. The second thing is because we understand that time is valuable, and often the most impactful resources are the simplest ones. And then third, we picked this time on purpose actually, because we were hoping that it would provide just a good reset or moment or two for you to set your intention for the week. So I'll turn it back over to Francesca.
Great. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Jessica. So I have pulled some research, and I will be reading some research off to you about the mind-body connection today and how important it is and how strong it is. And then this will be followed by Jessica leading us through her 3Bs exercise, which is an awesome centering exercise that she will tell you more about in a few minutes. So this year has been tumultuous and has brought forth many challenges for everyone. We're all collectively adapting to a new way of life, and this pandemic has had a major impact, especially on musicians. As I mentioned before, the mind-body connection is very strong, and a prolonged increase in stress and anxiety can take a major toll on the body. As musicians, we're used to being on at all times, always preparing for the next competition, audition, or performance. We often do not take breaks because we've been trained to think that when we're resting, someone else is practicing harder and therefore may get more opportunities than us. So many musicians are used to chronic stress, and we may experience frequent performance anxiety, as Jessica was talking about earlier. What we are not often taught is how crucial it is to maintain our mental and physical health because of the mind-body connection and how it relates to our music making. So the vagus nerve is largely responsible for this mind-body connection, constantly sending communication information between the brain and the internal organs, and providing the primary control for the nervous system's parasympathetic division, otherwise known as the rest and digest signal, that has the potential to counteract our fight or flight response when your sympathetic nervous system is receiving signals from your body that something is not right or not safe. So the vagus nerve is possibly the most important component in the mind-body connection, and it also plays a large role in the gut-brain connection because large amounts of this nerve extend to the digestive system. So this partially explains why you may sometimes have an upset stomach or a loss of appetite when you're under extreme stress. So the vagal and sympathetic nervous systems work together to downregulate inflammation, which is the body's typical response to stress. So when you're feeling stressed out or anxious, your body reacts as if it is under attack. The body's fight or flight response is activated, and stress hormones such as cortisol are released as the HPA axis is activated. So this stress response also easily activates the immune system, explaining why chronic stress can take a serious toll on the body if the immune system is constantly overworked. Chronic stress can disrupt the balance within the immune system, and can also lead to increased inflammation in the body, which can be a risk factor in the development of performance-related injuries. So this is just a general overview of the very complex mind-body connection, but will hopefully give you a good idea of just how important it is to learn healthy coping mechanisms to reduce your overall stress levels and reaction to stressful situations. So the next time you experience performance anxiety, feel overwhelmed in the practice room, or feel like you are under pressure, you can use this exercise that Jessica is about to introduce as a tool to help you feel more calm and in control. So as I mentioned earlier, today Jessica will be leading us through her 3Bs exercise, which is an introduction to progressive relaxation techniques incorporating breathing, body, and mind that you can do each time you're feeling really stressed out. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Jessica.
Great. Yes, exactly. So 3Bs that represent the brain, the breathing, and the body. This particular exercise isn't really meant to change much, except over time it changes our awareness of what's really going on in all of those areas. And before we can address a problem, we actually have to know where the problem is and what it is. So this type of an exercise is more geared toward gaining awareness. A great side benefit of it is that it really does help regain focus and help with productivity. So like Francesca said, it's a great one to do before a practice session, before a class, before a test, before anywhere that you might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed and stressed. So let's try it. What I'm going to encourage you to do is get to some place where you're very comfortable. You can be sitting, you can be standing, you can be laying down, doesn't really matter. But other than this particular technology that we're using to interface, try to rid yourself of any distractions, close those other browsers. It may be helpful to close your eyes if you're feeling overwhelmed with what you're seeing and hearing. And so now I would like for you to just imagine that you are capable of observing where we are from space. That you're somehow outside of time and space for just a moment and you're peering down in our universe. And then you zoom in a little bit and see our galaxy. A little bit more, you see our solar system, then our planet, and our continent, country that you're in, and your city. Now begin to become aware of where you are right now, in this building, in this room, and then also in this moment. Because not only do we need to be aware of space, we need to be aware of time. So take a minute to consider all the time that has passed before this moment occurred. All the millennia, the centuries. So much has happened across our planet before we were ever in it, and so much more will occur after we're gone. So it's almost a little miraculous to consider for just a minute that we are here, we're existing in this space and time. And now I'd like for you to draw your attention inward and become aware of your breathing. Just notice if it's shallow, if it's fast, if it's following a regular pattern, an irregular pattern. Is it deep? Is it relaxing? You're not going to make any judgments about it, you're just noticing. Then turn your attention to the physical state of your body. How are you feeling? Are you tense? Tense all over? Tense in just certain spots? Are you feeling really relaxed? Maybe so relaxed that you feel like you've lost some connection to certain parts of your body. Are you in pain anywhere? Are you sore? Again, this is just an observation. You're not trying to change anything right now. You're just connecting to what the reality is for you right now. Next, observe what's going on in your brain. What's occupying your thoughts? Do you feel like your mind is just a swirl of activity, of information? Do you feel tired and maybe a little sluggish? Overwhelmed with too much, or overwhelmed by not feeling there's enough going on? Also take a minute to connect with your soul and your emotions and just recognize if there's anything that seems to be weighing on your mind and heart. We're not changing it, but acknowledging what's going on is really helpful. And now take a really deep, long, slow breath in and out. And as you exhale, open your eyes. So for me, this exercise just helps bring things into focus. It doesn't change anything, but it actually does change a lot. So it allows me to connect with myself on all those levels, mentally, physically. And then I find that I'm able to focus more on the task at hand and be more productive, even if things are crazy and it's not a great day or not a great practice session. Just acknowledging that goes a long way, and stopping for a moment to set an intention of peaceful productivity makes all the difference.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that exercise with us, Jessica. And I'll just share a couple things that came up for me. I definitely was noticing where I was holding tension in my body, and I was noticing that I spent so much of my day not connected to the present moment. And I think those exercises are so beneficial, especially when you're feeling really anxious or really stressed out or overwhelmed. It's just such a great exercise to use just to take even just a few minutes for yourself and kind of organize all of your thoughts. So if you enjoyed that exercise and some things came up for you too, you might want to jot some things down in a journal. That's usually really helpful for me, especially when I do these kinds of practices to kind of help organize my thoughts after. And Jessica, you might have similar thoughts on that, or on using a journal. But for me, it's really helpful. So thanks so much for joining us today. I'll first share a couple resources. So I received my research that I wrote for you today from the mind-body interaction and the stress-inflammation connection webinar from the Institute for Brain Potential, and the Performing Arts Medicine Association Essentials of Performing Arts Medicine course that I took earlier in the summer. And I can share those with anyone that's interested. Just leave a comment below if you'd like to learn more. So next week, we're excited to continue discussing breathing and dive in a little deeper into the relationship between breathing and its ability to reduce tension in the body. We'll be demonstrating some more breathing exercises that you can use throughout your daily life in various situations. And thank you so much for joining us this week. We encourage you to continue using today's practice, like I said, when you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious, as it can help you organize your thoughts and lower your heart rate during stressful situations. So thank you all so much, and thank you to the Puerto Rico Flute Symposium for hosting these, and we will see you next week at 5 p.m.